Hi, Al. So this is Cormac again, and first of all, I have just discovered that one can hide the controls on Zoom, which means that the annoying bar that is at the top of the other video is not going to be here. I did not realize that was actually going to be visible in the video. This is what I get for using Zoom to record instead of any normal program. Anyways, so I want to talk a bit about how we do de novo formats, which are just formats that only exist in our zine. They're not from an existing website, although they might be inspired by them. They are very much unique to Archive of the Odd. And we do a lot of these, and they're probably my favorite. They're much more creative than a lot of the existing formats because just like Twitter is nice and all, but I'm not allowed to have as much fun, and I'm not allowed to hide as quite as many Easter eggs. Um, so the first example that I'm going to give is from Revenge Arc, and that is a movie review blog called Blood for Blood. And it is very much a horror movie review blog, and it looks the part. So this was designed based on looking at, I think, probably 6 or 7 different websites. I only have 3 up, but I'm just going to give a brief tour of what I'm talking about. Um, and basically, it's just kind of distilling the very essence of what goes into a horror movie review blog, while also trying to keep it as readable and understandable as possible. So I'll give a brief tour of the 3 websites that I have up right now, and that is iHorror. Um, and you'll notice, okay, dark background. This one is an image. Then you have white that is behind the text, black text, bolded anytime there's a title or a link. And then the kind of accent color is dark red, and that's true of basically all of them. There was one exception whose color was green, and I didn't even know what to do about it. It was terrifying. And then Bloody Disgusting looks pretty much the same, except for there is no image in the background. It's just black. It even has the same little box that the title goes in. Okay, link is bold. This is the byline. Uh, this is grayed out. The date is grayed out. The by is grayed out. Accent color is still red. Titles, names, anything like that is bolded. And then the last one that I was looking at is, you'll notice again, this is Horror News Network, or sorry, horrornews.net. And okay, dark background. This one is an image. It has some red on it. Small byline. It's a link. Black text. This one doesn't use bolding. It uses italices, but it still looks fairly similar to the others. And so you'll notice everything in these is sans serif. And that was true of all the ones I looked at. If you find a horror movie review blog with a serifed font, I'll be very impressed. So putting it together, actually, quick note, this is a re-recording. I initially I did this exact video, and then I discovered that all of the video was blurry for some reason, and blurry is like the worst thing to be mysteriously that thing because it's neither interesting nor enjoyable. It's just blurry, and I don't like it. So I made a couple of similar formats as examples, and I'm not really going to go over how I made them, just why. So this is a more professional one. This looks a little bit more like what actually appears in Revenge Arc, but you'll notice there's the black background, white text, or the white mat behind the text. The headline is, the way that I found this is by searching display. Display is usually fonts called display are meant for being headlines or otherwise large. And so I just kind of went through and found whatever looked fairly similar. This is what I was talking about left justifying things, because now things will move from there. And just found what I felt looked most similar to what I had seen on review sites. Made it bold because most headlines are bold. The byline is in red because it's presumed to be a link. It's also bold. It's a name. And then the date is smaller and grayed out. And the body text is also just black sans serif. I use Lazard for all of these. I like Lazard sans serif. I think it looks nice. But you can use whatever you want. If you search up sans serif, you will get a ton of options. Not all of them made equal. You'll see that this is Garrett and Garrett book. I don't know why these are different. I think this is just when I was putting this on Canva to use as an example. Just happened. But that's kind of how we do this general thing, whereas we just look at existing sites and then distill what we think is most essential to them, what ties them all together. And so I'm going to close these. And I'm going to talk a bit about how we do truly new formats, which is things where we might not be basing it off of anything in particular. And the example I'm going to use here is coming out in issue 3, and that is the third to last write-up of Penny Wheelwright, Funventure Ambassador by Maldemarlis. And this is actually our format menu. So essentially, when we accept a piece, after we go through like basic edits, we will give a few different examples of how something might look. The only exception is if it is mixed media, where the format might change like every couple of paragraphs. That in that case, there's just too many, and we just make the whole piece, show it, and say, okay, what do you want changed? But so for something that has very few formats, including this piece, we really want to get each format right. And in this case, a lot of this story is told in the form of complaint forms. And there are, of course, existing complaint form formats, and I think most people would be pretty familiar with them. So there's a few different options, and I'll go back to the one at the top. But like the very simplest one was, okay, it's just going to be like something that was typed in by Penny, who is the employee, the poor employee here, presumably after the fact. The next one was kind of one that I would imagine at a school or some other kind of similar, I guess, I don't want to say venue for school, but like that's what I'm trying to get at. Where it might be on like colored printer paper. And this is an element. If you go into elements on Canva, and then you can search like paper. And I try not to use these whenever possible while actually like getting ready to publish something. But they're useful for showing how things might look. And so basically this one is kind of similar to the one above, except for in this case, it's assumed that it's going to have been printed out and then people can write things in. So in this case, Penny fills out the complaint location and the action taken, whereas the customer is the one who writes in the actual complaint. I also use several different handwriting fonts just as examples. But the most important part when doing this kind of format is imagining who is putting together the document. And I don't mean you. I mean what location or what individual is putting together the document that is then being presented to the reader. And in this case, the person putting together this form is going to be Laurasiatic Family Fun Venture Resort, which anything that calls itself a fun venture resort, you kind of have an idea of what they're like. Um, Basically, for this one, I kind of imagined going to like the skeeziest family-friendly theme park possible. And I'm like, okay, if I was just like super annoyed and I wanted to make a complaint, what would piss me off more than anything? And for me, that is having something that is just so aggressively cutesy when I'm already pissed off. Like I would wreak havoc. I would destroy it. I would eat the paper. Um, and so I wanted something that looked less like a complaint form and more like a birthday invitation that you might give to like a 5-year-old, because felt very on brand for something called Fun Venture. And also, it contrasts so well with the content. It fills me with rage to think of filling out this complaint form being so adorable. Um, So this is all clip art. I do not own these dinosaurs. This is also from Canva. I believe I searched up dinosaur clip art or something. I believe anything Canva gives you that is you can use for free is using a non-attribution license, so you don't have to say who owns it. But I try not to use that many Canva graphics because I just feel bad. Like I legally, it's fine, but I mean, someone did put in effort into making these dinosaurs, and they're very cute. So um, again, this is just part of something that I would give as a menu. And so talked it over with Malda, and they said essentially like, okay, the dinosaurs are adorable and very in line. So it's like, okay, the question there is how do we make it unique? Because obviously we don't want to use the clip art. And so even though this is already something that has never existed on the planet before, I wanted to do something that was a bit more specific to the piece because it is not a dinosaur-based family fun venture resort. As noted in the complaint, there are no dinosaurs because this is pre-dinosaur. Dinosaurs don't exist yet. Um, and so we wanted to have clip art that is a little bit closer to what would actually appear in the family fun venture resort. Um, despite the fact that like they're not as obviously iconic as dinosaurs. But so I essentially drew a bunch of clip art of animals of the period, and most of these appear in the piece. The exception is Colophysis over here. I just was looking for things that are similar, and honestly, Colophysis is kind of misleading, slightly too dinosaurian. But to be fair, it's the Family Fun Venture Resort. They're definitely skeezy. They would definitely do this to me, and I would hate them for it. But yeah, so it's kind of the thought process that goes into this. We do a lot of marginal graphics, things like this. We really want each piece to feel unique, and it's the kind of little touches like this, making things look very true to the world, not just to the form. It's very important to us, and also it's just a ton of fun. Um, this is probably the first time there's been a pastel clip art Cynodont, and I'm very proud of the fact that that is the case. Yeah, I don't know if that's helpful. That's just kind of that's a more abstract look at what we do. We have a lot of fun. We draw a lot of weird clip art, and we think very hard about who is putting forth these um these formats. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, please reach out. We really do love talking to people. So yeah, thank you.